secret. Well, maybe it's not, but I heard that Oklahoma may already have a great defense in year one. Ain't that some shit? Well, now, that's the word on the streets. And I saw it in a little article today on Soonerscoop.com. And not only that, I wanted to go back and see if I couldn't find a more unbiased source other than Soonerscoop.com. You go back to just a few months ago where CBS Sports is saying the same thing at an even earlier time. Oklahoma has a defense. The wrath may be coming a lot sooner than we thought. Let's talk about it. The home of the Common Joe and the Common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking. How's it going out today, boys and girls of Sportland? This is JPC, and I am also known as the OCF, that is the Outlaw of College Football. That's right. In today's class, we're going to talk about the fact that is Oklahoma's defense way ahead of schedule? Because if it is, that could be the coming of the wrath a lot earlier than expected. Before we get to all that, I'd like to do my random thought of the day. My Common Joes and Sallies in the know have been begging me to do that again. So today's random thought of the day is this. What's up with people that have to back in to every freaking parking place known to mankind? I mean, I can understand backing into a few parking places, maybe at Walmart or something, far up above the parking lot and whatnot. But people that back into every single spot, especially like at the convenience store, I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? And it's not like they can back right in either. You would think that since they like to back into every space, that they'd be expert parkers, but they take like 4 swings at it before they get it in there. It takes you a good 5 or 6 minutes to wait on them, and you're in a rush to go get maybe a prescription or something. They take 4 good swings at me. There's 3 strikes in baseball and you're out. Get the hell out of the way and go park your damn car like everybody else. Probably pissed a few people off because I know a lot of my friends that like parking their shit backwards all the time. But anyway, that was my random thought of the day. Y'all give me your random thought of the day, and I'll give you my opinion on your random thought. But getting back to starting with, let's go back a few months. Let's rewind a few months so that we're not accused of citing a biased source. Because I was the same way. I'm like, well, that's Soonerscoop.com. But you go back to CBS Sports a few months back, and they said that 5 months in, reporter for CBS Sports, Shahan Jariah, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he went and observed the Oklahoma defense and said that after 5 months, that defensive players have already started to show improvement in fundamentals and positional awareness. Fundamentals and positional awareness. By positional awareness, that means to me to be able to have discipline to stay at home in your post when needed. Of course, sometimes you do have to break off on the play if someone breaks loose. But for the most part, you're supposed to stay at home and stay at your checkpoints and your position as long as you can without breaking. Because when you break from your position that you've been taught to stay at, that's when you have issues. That's when you have an undisciplined defense that gets taken advantage of. Now, moving on, fast forward back to now. Soonerscoop.com says what may have been the most interesting thing was how detail-oriented the defense was. Once again, it's the small things, the detail-oriented, the fundamentals, the positional awareness. And another small thing that people don't really take into account is the strength and conditioning program. Brent Venables takes all that into account. because he brings in this guy named Jerry Schmidt that people have heard horror stories about, and how he grills people, and how he's just one of those over-the-top strength and conditioning coaches. But right here it says, Todd Bates says of Jerry Schmidt that he infuses toughness. He seeks out weaknesses and makes it a strength. That sounds like a pretty good game plan to me. He's got players gaining the weight that need to gain weight and players losing weight that need to lose weight. It's called being able to read people and know what your team needs. And that's what Jerry Schmidt's been able to do. And it's one of those small things. You don't think much about the strength and conditioning until your players start wearing out in the early part of the fourth quarter. And one more thing, maybe be small to people, but the sports information guy, Thad Turnipseed, another huge get that they got from Clemson as well. This guy has been a part of building programs behind the scenes at Alabama under Nick Saban, and then at Clemson under Dabo Swinney. He is a part of probably at least, I'd say, 3 or 4 Alabama national championships, 2 national championships at Clemson, and now he's at Oklahoma. This guy, when he leaves a post, he leaves it in pretty good standing, as we've seen so far. So what makes you think that history won't repeat itself with Thad Turnipseed? He's some kind of good luck charm, a genie in a bottle, I don't know. But everywhere Thad goes, there's national championships sure to follow. So it's amazing to me that it's not just Sooner Scoop. Like I said, it's CBS Sports. You got numerous other media outlets coming out saying that Oklahoma actually has a defense already in year one. Really? And that don't bode well down the road in making Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch look like that they were right about how hard it was to do certain things here at Oklahoma. Now, this is just year one, like I mentioned. Brent also gets the luxury of starting out with UTEP and Kent State. So he's going to get a chance to get his feet wet and to cut his teeth a full 2 weeks before he ever has to play a Power 5 school that really matters, and that being Nebraska. So, going forward, if he can get a defense like this already up and running that's impressing CBS Sports and numerous other outlets, things are looking pretty good. As a matter of fact, Clemson last year, this is the real point that really made me believe in Brent Venables, was last year at Clemson. Last year at Clemson, they went 9-3. People thought, well, it was a down year for Clemson, JPC. Yeah, but if you watch Clemson's season, and I watched most of their games last season, their offense usually is good enough to carry them to the point where their defense doesn't have to win every game. Their defense, I can tell you right now, probably won them 4 or 5 games last year. That team could have easily bottomed out, and it could have been a lot more horrific for Clemson had it not been for Brent Venables. There was numerous games, like the Georgia Tech game, that they won 14-8. So, without that defense, that 9-3 team could have easily been 6-6, maybe even 5-7, if Brent Venables had not been there. So just think about that. In the day of age of offensive prowess and being happy with defenses that can hold you to 24 points a game, Brent Venables was holding people to 8 and 10 and 13 points because that's what he had to do to win games. And that's what Brent Venables is all about. Doing what he needs to do to put his players in the position they need to be in to make themselves winners. Putting them in a good position is the main thing. And that's sort of what Nick Saban's impressive about Brent Venables' defenses, is that he wants to put his players in the position that they need to be in order to not just win at football, but to be disciplined and try to stick something out and make sure that you follow through on your assignment. Of course, sometimes you do have to break off and take the initiative and, fly by your seat sometimes. But for the most part, he wants these guys to be disciplined, because later on in life, if they don't make an NFL, that discipline that they learn in football can parlay into life in general. And that's all I got to say about that. And I just want to say that if Brent Venables' defense is as good as CBS Sports and numerous other people are saying it's going to be, then the raft that's been coming is going to be here a lot sooner. Because I think that the Oklahoma Sooners are going to get back to what real Oklahoma football is all about. Just like with Alabama, just like my team. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. If you don't mind, there's a little heart down here, a little heart, this little thanks option. Hit that, throw a few dollars in the coffers. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.